Joanne Richards.
And I'm Richard Beynon, and we're from All About Writing. We're going to be talking about writer's block today. The most famous sufferer of writer's block in the world was the author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, Douglas Adams. He's well known amongst the writing community for this most wonderful saying. He said, "I love deadlines. I love the sound of them whooshing by." It's a problem, though, that most of us encounter from time to time.
I've written 5 novels, and I have never sat down to write without thinking that today will be the day that I won't be able to do it at all. And I've discovered that I can overcome this lack of confidence to an extent by thinking the night before about what I want to write the next day, preferably while I'm doing something else, like, say, going for a walk. And then I give it a little bit of thought, and when I get home, I write down just 2 sentences that I feel will begin what I'm going to be writing the next day. Then, when I sit down to the computer, I type those sentences, and then I'm on my way.
Anthony Trollope, who wrote 47 big novels in his lifetime, did very much the same thing, Joanne. He would write, he had a full-time day job. He would write between 5 and 7 in the morning, and he would stop as the clock struck 7, in the middle of a sentence, almost invariably. Then the next day, when he picked it up, he would finish that sentence, and by the time he'd got to the end of the sentence, he had begun writing.
Yes,
He had the advantage of writing extremely long sentences.
Yes, that's true. If you really feel stuck, I think you should sit, keep your bum on the seat, stare at the screen, and type one word, "the," and then type the next word. And it will feel like you're trudging along. It will feel
Marching
fake.
through molasses.
Exactly. And you'll struggle with it. But sooner or later, the words will come more easily and you'll start to flow. Because I believe in that, because I think it's far too easy just to say, "Oh, the inspiration's not coming today. I'd rather go and count the tiles on the kitchen wall or watch the cricket," in Richard's case.
Okay, I have a little trick. I use a notebook. The right-hand pages of my notebook, I write the carefully composed sentences that later I transcribe into the computer. On the left-hand side, I leave them blank for notes, for random thoughts, for half-articulated ideas, for rough work. When I find myself stuck on the right-hand page, I get to work on the left-hand page, and before I know it, those rough half sentences turn into the right-hand page, and I'm away.
I indulge in a little bit of free writing. That means that I just open an empty notebook and start writing. I don't give any thought to subject matter or how to spell maneuver or whether I ought to be using a semicolon. I just allow my unconscious mind to lead the pen, and before long I've covered a few pages and the ideas are flowing.
If all else fails, consider the possibility that you have allowed your characters to hijack your story, and they could have led you into a cul-de-sac. In that cul-de-sac, it feels virtually impossible to fight your way forward because you're facing a brick wall. So the solution to that is to backtrack and find your way in your story back to the point at which you feel comfortable, and then strike off in a new direction.
And of course, also, when you're starting a story, to try to think about your destination. Consider where you're going and keep half an eye on that destination while you're writing all the way, so that you try not to get blocked into dead ends.
Writer's block isn't terminal. It might half have been for Douglas Adams, but consider the fact that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe sold 14 million copies, so he could afford to be a little self-indulgent.